Welcome to a special edition of workspanTV. I'm Vicki Hirsch. With me today is Rhoades, founder of People Inc. Anne earned her stripes and total rewards with a number of well-established and innovative organizations, including serving as Chief People Officer at Southwest Airlines and top HR positions for Promus Hotel Company and JetBlue Airways. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Vicki. It's great to be here.
First of all, tell us briefly about your career path. How did you get from the very start to where you are now?
I've spent 25 years in the people business, and I love the people business. And in fact, we called it the people department at Southwest because it either became in human resources and I couldn't spell personnel. So I've loved being in the people business. And I've spent time at Southwest, which is a great example of a company that understands culture and works hard to retain it. It's not just developing it, it's retaining it. I've also spent time getting to take everything that I learned and start JetBlue with people who believed in defining and building a great culture.
You helped to build a culture at JetBlue and some other companies. How do you create a culture that values employees?
One of the things is, something that I am really in favor of, is having employees engaged in everything that you do. So one of the things we did is we had the employees all help us even define the benefit plan, which is interesting. JetBlue was a startup. So we would meet with the pilot groups that were prospective employees before they ever came on board and ask them what would turn them on in terms of a benefit plan. And we would also then, once they were there and we defined them as A players, those that mirror the values and those that we would want to see hire people just like them, we then started putting them in the hiring teams. We also put in place profit sharing. And now it's a guaranteed 5% at JetBlue, so it's been fabulous. And we kept them engaged. We now have values committees, which are like culture committees, and each work group has a committee, and they look at the benefit plans. They don't set comp, but they give us feedback, and they also, I think, help manage that work group, and they're peers of theirs, so I think it works much better. But we've gotten them engaged in almost every area of the organization.
Now, once you had that culture in place, how did you reinforce it to get buy-in from the employees to achieve your mission?
Culture to me is what people do, as Herb Kelleher used to say from Southwest, when no one is looking. And what you do is you want to, first of all, hire and spend a lot of time and effort hiring the right people, the people that will mirror the behaviors that your values represent. We then build reviews and performance evaluations around those behaviors. We hold people accountable for the behaviors. Today you'll see 13,500 employees at JetBlue who are accountable for the behaviors that emulate the values. And by the way, we evaluate the CEO on those same behaviors and those same values.
Do you think it's more important to hire somebody for their degrees and their past talent, or for their motivation and their attitude towards the job?
I obviously could not hire a pilot that didn't have the technical skills, but I'm also not going to hire a pilot who is arrogant and in the event of something happening will not ask the first officer for advice and also prepare the flight attendants should they need to. What has happened in the past is many times we are tempted to hire someone because we can't find someone with the technical skills and the attitude. We're tempted to hire the technical skills. I have never seen it be successful long term. I will tell you that I'm fanatical over hiring for attitude, always have been, and I believe you define the attitude by finding people literally that behave in a way that supports the organization. That to me is attitude. Someone who mirrors your values and someone that's an A player and also has the technical skills and then supports that in their behaviors. And you know, behavior is something we can't fake. We either have integrity or we don't. We used to say in many of the companies I've been in that we would fire you for attitude before we'd ever fire you for not having the technical skills. Technical skills we can probably get for you, but attitude is incredibly important in successful organizations today.
Now, employee handbooks are often filled with rules written by HR telling employees what they cannot do. Now, how have you turned this around to empower employees to become ambassadors of the organization?
I'm infamous for taking a 250-page employee handbook and manager's book that was in place at Southwest, and we got it down to 50, and I was hoping to get it down to 35. Never quite achieved that. My whole point was to develop guidelines in lieu of rules. I think we ought to respect the fact that we have managers who are better at making the decision for the employee when they're sitting in front of them and understanding what the issue is, and not telling them, well, on page 17 it says I can do this, or page 18. I would much prefer to give them guidelines, which I think especially new managers need. but we don't need to tell them how to operate their business. And so many times we make a rule for the one person that did something that we didn't like, or someone came to us and said, oh, by the way, Susan isn't dressing well. Oh, good, we'll add one more rule to the dress policy.
In today's environment, what do you think is the #1 challenge facing HR professionals, and how do they meet that challenge?
Well, I would tell you that it's not going to be business as usual anymore. And I believe that we're going to have fewer people doing the job. And we're going to need to make certain that those people we have are A players. We're going to have to keep them motivated by making sure that we absolutely tell them when they're doing a good job. We don't have to spend a lot of money doing this, but we have to spend time and effort. And in this environment, they're very skeptical too. I mean, they may feel secure because it's a great organization and you've made them feel secure, but you don't stop doing that. We need to be very, very, I think, emphatic with our leaders about continuing to recognize and reward the right behaviors and let people know they're secure, let them know that we really value them. It's critically important to have a system of rewards, in my opinion, that we put in place and we keep managers executing on.
And do you think that HR managers have had a seat at the leadership table in the past? And if not, how can they be strategic partners to help the organization motivate people during tough times?
I think to get that seat, you need to be viewed as valuable. And I would tell you that you need to be viewed as valuable to all of the areas of the organization. You need to understand finance. You need to understand the operation and the operators. You need to understand that it's getting to yes for them instead of no. And you will be viewed as valuable. And if you're viewed as valuable, then they will come to you when they have an issue and you will have impact on the organization. I would tell you it does depend upon who you report to. If they're seen as valuable and if they are a partner with the CEO, I will tell you then that the input you have probably will be listened to and they will take it forward so you'll have more impact. I think it's critically important that you actually report to a leader that's significant in the organization in terms of their value. So you don't want to report to someone that is seen as invaluable because what you suggest will never get through or never be seen as valuable either.
And I've talked to some of your past colleagues and I understand that you can be a bit of a risk taker. So I think what our viewers would like to know is what's the one thing that HR professionals are tempted to do but never do?
We tend to say no instead of yes. I would like to encourage everyone to think differently. So when someone comes to us with an issue, let's just take an operator and said, we have a challenge here. We need to, I would like to recommend we do X, but the policy manual says we have to do Y. Don't immediately respond with, well, if the policy says, no, we can't do it. Think about the issue. Think about getting to yes for people. Understand these are all your customers. And at the same time, be a little bit of a risk taker.
And thanks so much for taking the time to share your wisdom with us today. I'm Vicki Hirsch for workspanTV.